30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee. Major League Baseball postseason is about 5 minutes away from getting underway at the dump down in Tampa, formerly known as the Trop. We'll keep you updated. Rangers in Tampa, the first game. Second game is Toronto at Minnesota. And as updates become available, we'll pass them on. This is, of course, football season, and we start each show with our daily Titans update with Terry McCormick. And this update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us on the show. Terry, what is the news of the day?
Well, George, right after we did our segment yesterday and we discussed what the Titans would do at punt returner, they decided to designate Kyle Phillips to be activated for return from injured reserve. And part of that process was they waived Mason Kinsey from the active roster. So our way of thinking to keep Phillips out of harm's way on punt returns, not Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthen's way of thinking, apparently.
So is Kinsey now pick-upable by any other team, or is he going to stay on the Titans practice squad?
Well, if he's claimed, he'd have to be claimed by 3 o'clock today by another team, and they would have to put him on their 53-man roster. Otherwise, he clears waivers, he becomes a free agent, eligible to sign with whoever he would want to. Most likely, if he clears, he would probably go back to the Titans practice squad unless somebody presented him a better opportunity.
So, Terry, I guess the question on Kyle Phillips is a health question. Can he stay healthy?
Absolutely, that's the question. He's shown himself to be productive both as a slot receiver and as a punt returner when healthy, but he's had injury issues. You know, he had the shoulder issue last year and the hamstring that plagued him, cost him almost all of his rookie year after a promising start. And then this year in camp, when they had the joint practices with the Minnesota Vikings, he suffered a sprained MCL. That's what landed him on IR. And he's been slowly making his way back, and looks like he'll be the guy when they head up to Indianapolis to handle those punt returns.
Yeah. So tell me what else is going on over there.
Well, there's one other move that was made too. Xavier Newman was dropped from the active roster. And if he clears waivers, he's in the same boat as Kinsey. He can be claimed or somebody, by somebody, or if he clears waivers, he likely would go to the Tennessee practice squad again. That's going to clear the way for Nicholas Petit-Ferrer to have a roster spot. He's back from his suspension, already working out with the team as of yesterday. And so while I don't think he's going to be a starter right away, I do think he improves the quality of the depth. I really think that Chris Hubbard's kind of been a pleasant surprise in their eyes, and they'll probably stick with him for the time being at that right tackle spot.
Terry, is the Petit-Ferrer reduction of a suspension the NFL admitting, look, we're a bunch of damn phonies. We take gambling money, but God forbid any of our players do it. What was the actual reasoning?
Well, I think there was also a receiver, Jameson Williams, I believe it is, of the Lions, who
Right.
had his suspension reduced as well. And I think that in that situation, the league, while not admitting fault, I think that they admitted that maybe those suspensions were a little bit too harsh for the infractions that Petit Ferrer and Williams had, which was placing a wager on another sport from inside team facilities.
God forbid we do that. Terry, welcome back, Aaron Boone, for another year. It's not his fault.
Well, no, you can't win the Kentucky Derby on a mule.
Thank you so much. Well said.
Yes. And we had a lot of mules in the lineup this year.
Yes. One of who now is starring in Milwaukee.
Yes. And one of whom hit 189 and has a big fat contract that we apparently can't get out from under.
Ugh. Talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that is absolutely possible. So dial her up at 615-969-4350. By the way, before we bring Kelly Holcomb to our microphones, any of you who are listening to this, step outside. If you hear any noise, it is sack number 11 of Daniel Jones.
That was bad. And interception number 3.
Yeah, well, God, the G-men. Let's say hello to Kelly. Kelly, we've been thinking about you, thinking about your daughter. What's the situation?
Had surgery. It went well. The doctor said it was great. Said all of her cartilage was well, which when he had seen injuries like she had, he'd never seen cartilage as nice as hers, but did say that all the ligaments had looked like they'd been blown up by a bomb. So they had to go in there and cut all that stuff up and reattach it. So she's in quite a bit of pain right now, but we've got her on some painkillers, and hopefully we can get her back good as ever. I don't know. It just it was going to be our last year, and it kind of sucked. But hey, sometimes life throws you curveballs like that, and you just got to handle it.
Yeah. Well, let her know we're thinking about her.
I appreciate it, George. Yeah, that was bad last night, man. I felt sorry for Daniel Jones. He's just they can't protect him. I mean, it's but there's a lot of teams right now that are having trouble protecting quarterbacks. These defensive linemen have gotten so good and so fast, so strong that it's kind of amazing what they're doing.
They're having a field day is what they're having.
Goodness gracious. And it's just, I don't know, but when we talked today, I told you the Titans don't even look like the same team, what they look like in the 3 games prior. It's just amazing what they look like the other day. It looked like that somebody had said, hey, we got to play some football here. Mike Grable got into them a little bit or something. I don't know. But like you said, they pulled everything out of their bag to win that football game. And they look good doing it.
They did look good doing it. Billy, do we have an update?
We do. We start with the wild card games today. We're underway in the dump in Tampa.
Yes.
No score between the Rangers and the Rays. Also, right after this one, around 3:30, Toronto at Minnesota. That'll be on ESPN. Later tonight, Arizona at Milwaukee at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. And then Miami at Philly.
Go Fish.
Tonight at 7 o'clock. Big one. The Braves play the winner of that series.
So I had a chance, Kelly, earlier today. Jacob Stallings, of course, plays for the Marlins. And I talked to Kevin, and he's up there in Philly. And he said, you want my team to win, don't you? I said, yeah, I do. I said, I'm rooting hard for them. I said, I think they're a better out for the Braves than the Phillies, but we'll just wait and see. You never know.
George, I got to go to the old Turner Field the other night. That's where Georgia State plays their football games. Yeah, that was a pretty cool deal right there. Quite a bit of people there. There was quite a bit of people there. I was quite shocked. Jameson said, I don't think there's going to be many people there, Dad, but it turned out to be way more than I thought.
So what does it look? I mean, does it still look like a baseball facility, or have they made it? Have they switched it to turn into more of a football?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a football looking deal right now. I was trying to picture where the field was, but I mean, it's still got. I can remember. I've been to a Braves game there. I had a buddy that played for Coach Snitker. In the minor leagues, and he got us tickets one day. He still lives in Atlanta, and we went, and that was the field we went at. But it's a pretty cool setting for Georgia State. There's no question. I thought they'd be a lot better than they were, but they were not.
Yeah, well, they were undefeated 4-0 going in, and Troy smashed them.
Good win for
Smashed.
Troy.
Yeah, it was. They're pretty good. They're pretty
I don't know
good.
who Daddy was.
Yeah. Braves are hoping for a win Saturday. They'll play the winner of the Marlins and Phillies, and the Braves have the highest odds to win the World Series right now at plus 260. Heading into the playoffs, the next closest, the Dodgers at plus 430, and then the Astros at plus 500. It feels like the same three team: Braves, Dodgers, Astros.
Screw the Dodgers.
Wow. You don't like the Dodgers or the Yankees?
Not really. No, I don't.
Or the Astros.
You know, do we have a trash can in here anywhere for the Astros?
George loves his trash can banging.
Hold on.
Oh, does he?
I think I found something.
He's so fascinated by the trash can banging. That's not working.
That didn't really do it. It's a good try, though.
Well,
sound effects don't always work the way you want them to.
No. We've got some winning teams playing today, but a losing team, the Angels, have fired their coach, Phil Nevin. Well,
he's the manager.
The manager, rather. Yes. The manager, Phil Nevin.
Phil Nevin's been gone since August, and he knew it.
This comes a day after they finished 73-89. They didn't schedule an end-of-season news conference with GM Perry Manassian. Immediately after the season, he will meet with the team today, though. So
to say we've made a change.
Yeah.
And, going in a different direction. What can we do to get you to stay?
We're going in a different direction.
Yes.
Let's go to the NFL.
We wish Phil the very best.
Sorry.
By the way, Terry Francona, just a few minutes ago, no surprise, resigning as the Indians manager. This is all very health related. He's had a lot of health issues over the years. This is not a big surprise.
You mentioned last night with Daniel Jones, George, Seahawks dominated the Giants 24-3. The quarterback for the Seahawks, Geno Smith, limped off the field, and he missed a couple of series late in the first half after a questionable tackle by Giants linebacker Isaiah Simmons. Smith injured his knee on the play. He remained in the game for one more play before getting attended to in the medical tent. But when he came back, he was interviewed by Lisa Salters. He said, that was a dirty play. A dirty play. You guys can see it. It was a dirty play. It's no place in this sport for that, and hopefully something happens. But other than that, the grace of God allowed me to come back into this game, and I'm happy to be out there.
Kelly, did you see the play?
Yeah, and I don't like when guys grab you. That's why they went to the horse collar deal. But when you take a guy and you grab him and you pull him backwards like that, I just don't like that. There's nothing good that's going to come out of that, and I wish they would just. I don't know what they can do to it. They tried to do something with the horse collar, but you can grab a guy behind and just go down on his legs. I just do not like that, George. I wish they would. They got to do something about that.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Another quarterback, Kenny Pickett, apparently avoided major injury from the sack that forced him to leave Sunday's loss to the Texans. He's not expected to miss much, if any, time. He could push the issue and play on Sunday against the Ravens, but Mike Tomlin also knows they have a bye the following week and could opt to rest him. But the Steelers are in trying times right now, and there's not a lot of happy Steeler fans with Mike Tomlin. He's been there for so long and done so well, but it's not looking good, and there's some fans calling.
Yeah, get over it.
Calling for his job.
Get over it. That's a damn good football coach.
Yeah, seriously. And he had Ben Roethlisberger for 2 decades. So, I mean, grow up.
I think it's more directed to the play calling with Matt Canada.
Well, there certainly is some of that. But Mike Tomlin can coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach. It's amazing, too. I said this a couple of weeks ago, but they've had Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. What is that, 60 years? Is that 60 years?
Close to it.
Yeah,
okay, go back.
No, 70s.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Wow. Also crazy, Colorado has the most watched game for the 4th time in 5 weeks. USC and Colorado, 7.2 million viewers. And there were a couple other good games. Georgia-Auburn, that had 6.4 million. Notre Dame-Duke, 5.3 million. So, and this is even down. They've been around the 9 and 10 million mark. This is down. They're still tops in the country. I don't know. I mean, obviously Deion Sanders, that him being on the sidelines, people are going to watch. But these numbers are incredible.
Yeah.
So once again, they lead college football in numbers. Also, tough situation in Iowa. Kirk Ferentz told reporters that starting quarterback Cade McNamara will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL.
Their offense wasn't exactly the 49ers to begin with.
No, you say the rich get richer a lot of times. This is the opposite. They did not necessarily need this. Well, another thing, I got to throw this in here.
Okay.
High school note. The Georgia High School Association, according to reports, amended its bylaws yesterday to allow high school student athletes to participate in NIL without losing their eligibility. We knew this was coming. The new policy passed by a vote. This number is crazy, by 65 to 10. So, I mean, easy decision, according to the minutes of the GHSA State Executive Committee.
In a related note, I want to go throw up somewhere.
And it's just a matter of time, you would guess, for this to be enacted in Tennessee. I mean, Georgia is not. I mean, Tennessee has just as much talent. Or maybe not as much, but not the number of kids. But Texas probably. I don't know if they already have it.
Texas, California, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, Billy, did you just say Tennessee?
What?
Is that what you just said? Did you say Tennessee? We've got. No, come on, dude. Hey, football in this state is nothing like Georgia, Alabama.
Obviously,
Florida,
it's not, but it's not. I don't think it's as far behind as people think.
No. Hey, you've got a nice little cluster with these private schools in Nashville, and you got some Rutherford County teams that are pretty good. But other than that, dude, high school football up here is not the greatest. I just hate to say that.
Oh, I disagree. No. I think it's gotten a lot better. I mean,
when you go down and you watch Hoover, when you watch Clay Chalkville, when you watch teams like that, no, it's not even close, Billy.
Yeah, they're obviously better, but I mean, you can't deny that in the mid-state specifically, it's not as far behind as you might think than Georgia, Alabama.
Billy,
you notice I'm not siding with you.
Yeah, Billy. Hey, brother, you gotta. Hey,
I mean,
some of them
it's not that far.
Just see what happened to Oakland. They're a 3-time defending state champ. They went up to Indiana and didn't play Ben Davis. They played like a Cedar Grove team and got smashed.
Oakland's down. Oakland's down.
It doesn't matter. I mean, they're running this state. They've been running this state for 5-6 years.
At the public level, but like private school, I think I put Nashville private schools up against.
Pretty good. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas, different type of deal, and they get paid. Them coaches down there, it's like college. They get paid a lot of money, and if you're not winning, they are going to fire you.
Greenbacks.
Yes.
Okay, we need to go to the break. When we come back, Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville. We'll talk about a 3-week stretch coming up for University of Tennessee football that is an absolute murderer's row. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we are back. Kelly, one of the things that I have come to believe is that if you put 3 Godzillas in a row on an SEC schedule, 3 really tough games in 3 weeks, that by the time you get to the third, that team that's having to play him is going to be in big trouble. As we await Tony Basilio, I want you to look at the next 3. Tennessee has an open date this Saturday, but look at those next 3.
Yeah. That's pretty tough right there, George. They're bringing Texas A&M, I guess, into Knoxville, which that'll be a tough game. Obviously with Max Johnson playing, but then Alabama seems like they're playing. They're finding their way a little bit. I watched a little bit of the game the other night with Mississippi State. Jalen Milroe still holding on to the ball a little bit too long, using his athleticism, and defensively, they're kind of getting back. They're starting to be able to rush the passer a little bit. They still give up too many big plays, and it'll be interesting to see how they play Tennessee. But, Alabama's kind of getting their swagger back just a little bit. And then Kentucky, man, good gracious. We put them down in our how wrong were we in our top 14 and I said that Kentucky might be that team, but they're playing really good. Devin Leary seems like he's a fit. And then, good gracious, Ray Davis, the kid from Vanderbilt, George. I mean, he looks like a stud. I mean, they couldn't stop him the other day, and seems like they're doing some things defensively too. Obviously, with the coach there, he's a defensive-minded guy. So that's really, you're going to find out about the Vols in the next 3 games. I will say that.
So let me try it this way. When you look at that schedule, is Tennessee more likely to go 1-2 or 3-0?
I'm saying 1-2. Would you not say 1-2?
Yeah, I mean, I think the positioning of where Kentucky is. I mean, this is that would be a great time, in theory, for Kentucky to catch Tennessee. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
Right.
Coming off an emotional, very physical game in Tuscaloosa, to then have to turn around and play this Kentucky, ooh,
At
wow.
Kentucky. Yeah, at Kentucky. And Kentucky being able to run the ball like they're running the ball. That was pretty impressive the other day. I never thought that they would be able to run the ball against Florida like they did, but they just, Ray Davis was gashing them with holes. And then the Graham Mertz kid kind of showed up and played like he did against Utah. I felt like Kentucky got some pressure on him, but that wasn't even a game, George. I mean, it was 23-0, and then I think it was 23-3 at the half. I mean, it didn't even look like it was ever a game.
No, it was a big old butt kicking. I'm told Tony Basilio is on with us by phone, I think from Knoxville, although I can't swear to that. Tony, how are you?
Better late than never. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know what's gotten into me. Just an off week, guys. Just kind of a relaxing off week. And I was, I looked down at my phone. I'm getting ready to play some music in the park after doing my day. And I look down at my phone, and Billy's like, "Did you get my email? Did you get my?" I'm going, "Oh no!
We forgive you, Tony."
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Tony, I put up a graphic a minute ago after the open date. They've got 3 in a row that nobody should have to play. That is a murderer's row. A&M at home, at Bama, at Kentucky.
Kind of find out what you're made of, right? And really going to need a quarterback. The thing about Milton was coming into this year, the line on him was doesn't turn the ball over, will eat a football, doesn't make suspect decisions. Well, that's kind of gone out the window after last week's game and then the game in Florida. And the truth is, the game down there, you guys were just talking about the Kentucky-Florida deal. Poor Tennessee fans, we lose twice. When first you lose to Florida almost annually, and then you turn around and you watch that sorry bunch from Lexington every year, it seems like, beat the team you couldn't beat. It's like suffering 2 losses in the month of September, and it's just really bizarre. But, George, it's going to be incumbent upon Tennessee to figure out a way to kind of navigate around the quarterback going forward. Tennessee's running game is one of the best in the nation when you look at the numbers, but they are getting ready to go up in weight class, to your point. In fact, you can make the case right now, though the club's 5-0, they have not played a team that's going to go to a bowl game. I would submit to you that South Carolina will have a difficult time getting to a bowl game. That Texas San Antonio team, no matter what league they're playing in, they're not the same team they were last year. Maybe they scratch out 6 before it's all said and done, but will they go as a 6 or 7 win team out of that league? I guess that remains to be seen. Florida, I mean, do we think Florida is going to win the requisite number of games to get there at this point? I mean, I would not bet on that Florida team. I saw on the field last week. So obviously the A&M game here in a week and a half is going to be a real challenge for this club. And then you've got Alabama, to your point. Here's the thing about Kentucky, though. See, I pen that in as not pencil. I pen that in as a win because that Kentucky bunch, for whatever reason, they're just flat out afraid of Tennessee. And you can go ahead and clip this and run it on Twitter and do what you're going to do. Those people know. Those people know the reality. Kind of like we know the reality of the Florida deal. We know the reality of the Florida deal. They know the reality of their deal when they get in the field with us. So it is, sports are really interesting because it's, you can't tell me history doesn't matter in college football, even though it really shouldn't matter. But for some reason, it does matter.
Yes, absolutely it does. So, Tony, obviously the loss of Brew McCoy is huge. Who becomes the first in line to try to step up And can they come anywhere close to stepping up?
What he is on this football team is, especially in that room, but he's our leader. And he was the tough guy. And no, you're just not going to replace him. Now, what he wasn't is a tear the top off the defense guy. Squirrel White the other night is developing into a really nice player. He was targeted 9 times on Saturday, caught all 9 of them, including a play where a defender interfered with him to the point where he not only grabbed him and held him, he danced with him for a second, and then he turned his helmet around. He was doing like the hokey pokey with the guy's helmet, but he still caught the football, which was a 50-yard pass play down to the 5-yard line. You know, the truth is Tennessee's receivers need to be better. And I've talked to the great Watson Brown. I bow my head when I say thy name. And Watson was talking about Tennessee's receivers, and he said, you know, they just don't seem like they grasp the concepts like last year's group did. And he was talking about vertical options that exist in Tennessee's passing game. And he said those guys are not helping their quarterback to this point to a satisfactory level. But you're right. I mean, they've got Chaz Nimrod back there, who is a guy that could help them. Somebody earlier in the week was asking Josh Heupel about, do we now see D. Williams at wide receiver? I think that's a worthwhile thought. Do you try one of the running backs and try to play somebody in the slot? Do we see a little bit of that? This is really going to be a challenge to a guy who's a great offensive mind in Josh Heupel, because truly they're not going to be able to beat people exploding on them with big plays with what they have left. They're just not. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this difficult portion of the schedule, relying on the running game, kind of protecting their quarterback. Truth is, George, how many teams in this league aren't protecting and don't want to turn their quarterback 100% loose? I'd say the same thing's going on at Alabama, same thing's going on at Florida, same thing's going on at Kentucky. Missouri's growing a young quarterback. It's a really strange year in the league from that standpoint. There's a lot of that going on.
You could rent out Kelly Holcomb, $29.95 per game. Kelly, what do you got for Tony?
Well, I'm just sitting here listening, and it's not just the SEC, Tony. It seems like all of college football is there like a dominant team in college football, especially like I keep putting Georgia at the top, but I mean Georgia. I mean they've struggled a little bit with Auburn. I know that's a rivalry game, but I mean this is one of those years that is really crazy. It's been a while, and obviously the transfer portal's having a huge deal with it. But like, is there any dominant team in the SEC or college football this year?
I tell you what, I've come to the conclusion, guys, is that the transfer portal changed the game for good. You know, when they first went to that 12-team playoff, or we're talking about it a couple years ago, the naysayer said, why? You already have a 14 playoff and it's not competitive. It's funny. Think about it now. You will see a 12 seed if this thing continues to go the way that it's going. And in a couple of years, why wouldn't it? Because the transfer portal is going to continue to disperse the talent across college football. You're not going to be able to hoard players anymore. If that's the case, you'll see a year where a 12 beats a 5 and then turns right around and beats a 1. And, you know, a couple years ago, that seemed extremely far-fetched. It does not now. And I'll submit to you that a lot of people going into last weekend were saying, boy, Deion Sanders, they're going to get their comeuppance for the second straight week. I don't know if you guys saw what I saw, but that Colorado team had the ball, a chance to tie the game. I mean, they're in that game late to the point where people are second-guessing what Colorado did offensively. Kelly, you played that sport, and I'm smart enough to not have played that sport. And I'll tell you this with my athletic ability, but I'll tell you this, Kelly, how Colorado has gotten their program to the point where they could go out there and be in a game like that a month into the season people can say what they want to say about Deion Sanders. That is an awesome coaching job by those guys. That is an incredible, like that. I just want that to be said, but USC, they're not it. Michigan, to me, is the number one team in America. I think they have the best team. Now, they're going to bore people to death in the process because that's kind of the way they want to play. But I think the Big Ten right now and the Pac, whatever they are, I think those are the teams that have, and let's give Washington a shout out as well. I think those are the teams that have the balance of power. And for somehow the SEC, Greg Sankey, are you listening? It just means more. We've just spent more. Fans just pay more. But for some reason, it's not coming out in the wash this year. It's just not. In this league, it's just not.
And it's kind of amazing, Tony, because they've, next year the Pac-12 is going away. They got the Pac-2, but in my opinion, the Pac-12 may be the best conference in college football this year. You've got Washington. You've got all those good quarterbacks. I know they've got the best quarterbacks in the nation out there. They've got guys that have been trusted and true, and they played the position well. And I know that for a fact. So I don't know if they're rethinking their deal about, abolishing the Pac-12 and just going on about it. I don't know. It seems like that everything is kind of up in cahoots right this year, and the balance of power. I'm not with you on the Michigan deal yet. I think Texas may be the best team in the country. Maybe Florida State. Florida State's had some, but Michigan hadn't played anybody. I know they got a lot of guys back, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, and I hear what you're saying there. I just think that's the way it's going to play out. But the truth about that whole what's going on the West Coast is what that reminds me of. And Kelly, you know this being the star-stud quarterback. I wouldn't know this from a kid, but it's almost like I like you. You're a young kid. I hope your wife's not listening. You go on you go to the beach and you fall in love with this girl, and it's August. You're telling each other, you've been at the beach all summer, and you guys love each other, and you're going to wait for her, and she's going to wait for you. That's what this deal reminds me of right now. It's like a love you can't have. It's never going to happen. And so they're going to go off into the sunset with like the best conference in America this year. Why wouldn't it end that way? I mean, it's the most college football 2023 thing I can imagine. Why wouldn't it end that way?
No, I'm kind of with you. So my last deal is this. Watching a little bit of the UT game, how impressed were you with the defense, man? They put a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler. It seems like their defensive line can get some pressure on the quarterback, which is what you need in today's college or pro football.
Pierce and Joseph's two young ends who are really coming. And look, in the Southeastern Conference, if you don't have a couple of those guys, you don't have a chance in these signature games. The presence of those guys and their emergence, and Rodney Garner continues to develop these guys down through his career, the presence of those guys gives Tennessee a puncher's chance when they get on the field with anybody, including the Georgias of the world, the Alabamas of the world, etc. Plus, the linebacking play, the future is very, very, very bright with a couple of solid linebackers. Are going to be really, really nice players in time. The strange thing is they seemingly have more difference makers early on and playmakers early on in Josh Heupel's defensive recruiting than in the offensive recruiting, which is a strange thing to say. It's a snapshot in time. It doesn't mean it's reality, but it's kind of the way it's looking. But those are great problems to have, having two excellent ends that are young kids that are growing every time they take the field. And, hey, you know what? Shout out Spencer Rattler, because how that guy kept getting up in Neyland Stadium in front of a bloodthirsty crowd, Tennessee with those uniforms on, he got hit, pressured, hurried, thrown to the ground several times. I didn't see that kid point his finger one time at his teammates. So shout out to that kid. He really respects the game and plays really hard. I'll tell you this. I like to see Tennessee with Spencer Rattler. I tell you, Alabama would like to have Spencer Rattler. Florida would take him. There's a lot of teams in this league. The sad thing for him is all his skill people all went into the transfer portal.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So Tony, tell me that during open date there is no post-game show.
I was up till, now you'll like this.
Okay.
Friday night down in our old city, my band played music till midnight Eastern, right?
Okay.
But my band, we were heating it up so well in the house we were in, and musical people tell you this, you kind of get that old feeling. We stayed on to like 12:30. Now, they're all having fun doing that, okay? I'm thinking to myself, I'm so old that if a cop stopped me right now, I would pull out a rock for my ID. And this is not going to be good for me tomorrow night. I'm going to feel like the oldest person alive. So the next day I get up and I feel like I'm coming down with something. You know that feeling you get where your throat's tickly and you're cold and you're tired and you're just like, okay, that wasn't good what I just did last night. Well, we went till, let's see, what time was it? 3:20 Eastern time the other night. I woke up Sunday feeling 90, 100 yesterday, and I'm back to being about 85 today. So that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. But I'll tell you this, I'm happy for this fan base. I'm thinking this is going to be a really intriguing football season the rest of the way, here, there, and everywhere. Because like Kelly and you said earlier, where's the dominant team in this league?
Yeah.
I see a bunch of like light heavyweights, but no real heavyweights. I don't think Georgia's a heavyweight right now. I just don't. They lost too many people.
Even though it just means more.
Even though it means more.
Yes.
So it's a tweeter year and it's fun. I'll submit this to you guys. One of my guys, Matt Dixon, made a statement today. I'll throw it at you. He said probably, because we were talking about Sankey and his power move going down to the Red River Shootout a year early, and he's going to be there, and making a big deal out of it. The truth is, those two teams would be among the two best teams in this league this year.
Yep.
Texas probably is the best team in this league. They probably are the best team in this league, even though they're not in it yet.
Yep.
Yeah, so much for all the watch for what you're walking into, Texas and OU.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fitting right in, and they'll be at the top.
Just remember, it means more. It just means more.
It just means more.
Yeah.
It just means more, my man. It just means more.
I'll tell you what else just means more. Tony, I'll be at game 1 of what I think is Braves-Phillies Saturday.
Whoa.
Which means it'll be Braves-Marlins.
Hey, George,
yes.
I was exchanging texts with one of my Philly buddies that does radio up there, Jack Fritz, who works at WIP in Philly, and he does post-game stuff there. Real good kid. You'd love him. Loves baseball. Anyway, he said, all I want to do is beat the Marlins. Phillies Nation is honest about this draw that we have. The Braves should absolutely take care of the Phillies in that series, I would think. I guess anything can happen in the playoffs. I'm afraid of the Marlins. Now, I got my full Negadelphia hat on right now. We expect the worst. And that's what we call each other, Negadelphians.
Negadelphia.
And I got to tell you, I am so afraid of that young Marlin team that has nothing to lose, has very good pitching, weren't supposed to be there. And if they get by the Phillies, I think even though you guys handle them generally in the regular season, I think that would be a semi-scary opponent.
Listen,
for the draw.
Because
they scare me.
They've got way better pitching than the Braves right now. Jacob Stallings, Kevin's son, is on that Marlins team.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's up there. He's fired up.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's I can't imagine my son playing a sport like that where just all that pressure. And imagine your kid making Major League Baseball. That is so cool. That is so good for him.
He and I have had that conversation so many times. It's unbelievable. But good for Jacob.
You have to remind yourself, right? Yeah, good for him. You got to remind yourself as a parent, hey, look, my son's hitting whatever he is, 2 whatever.
Yeah.
He plays kind of sparingly for them. And the truth is, you got to remind yourself, this is one of the hardest sports that we have in our country to make because it's truly a worldwide game. There are very few of those slots available. The pitching is impossible to hit these days. People come out of the bullpen throwing 100 miles an hour now, not like when we were kids and everybody, you had a couple guys that could do that. Now it's
everybody
all over the place. How freaking hard is that game to play for Jacob Stallings, who doesn't play every day? It's going to be impossible to go out there.
But it still just means more.
Just means more, my brother.
Tony, talk to you next week.
Hey, thank you guys, and sorry about the
little stop it.
Here.
Don't worry about it.
I won't let it happen again.
Stop. See ya.
Thank you, guys. See ya. Bye.
Oh, he is the best. He is Tony Basilio, Knoxville sports talk show host, and if you're ever in a position to listen to him, he is very entertaining. We'll go to the break. Hopefully we'll be entertaining, and we'll get you a scoreboard update when we come back.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com, and be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I realize what I'm going to throw out here is blasphemy, and it may well, get me permanently barred from any Southeastern Conference events. Is it possible the SEC does not get a team in this year's playoff?
Well, it's possible. It's really possible. I just don't know how good. I think we're all still waiting on the Georgia question. I don't know how good Georgia is. We still got. There's still 3 undefeated teams, though. I mean, you got Missouri that's still undefeated. Kentucky's still undefeated. Georgia's undefeated. I don't know. I think somebody will be pushing for that, but I'm not sure, George. I really don't. I think Georgia's where it's at. We know that Florida's not very good. UT's lost. They've lost the game to Florida. They've got. You just talked about the 3 games that they've got. They've got some really hard games coming up. Ole Miss is still pretty good. They got beat by Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I don't know, George. I think the whole thing talks about is Georgia. Is Georgia good enough to take the mantle for the SEC this year? I'm still not sure. I mean, we just heard Tony Basilio said he didn't think Georgia was as good as they've been, and I'm not sure they are either. I think Stetson Bennett won a lot of games for that club, and I think people kind of took him for granted, like, oh, he's this little guy, he can't play. But they found out the dude brought you 2 national championships, and I'm not saying that the Beck kid's not good, but like he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't won a big game yet. He's won some SEC games. He's won, he beat Auburn last week, and Auburn's down. But they struggled in that game. They were down. They had to overcome a little bit of adversity. But it's possible, George, that there might not be a SEC team, because I think probably Ohio State and Michigan, I think they're probably better. I think Texas is really good. I think Florida State's really good. So I think this may be the year, with all the parity that's in the league, that you might not have an SEC team in the national championship.
See, I wonder, Billy, if it is possible that Georgia is not better than Notre Dame, Ohio State. Well, let me take that back. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, and Texas. Do we really believe they're better than any of those 4?
I mean, not right now. Georgia, I was impressed late in the game against Auburn for them to, prove they can get it done. I thought, all they really did was throw it to
Bowers,
Brock Bowers, but
he's a stud.
But and you could argue, Georgia hasn't had the opportunity for a big win, for as big of a win like Texas and Alabama, Ohio State at Notre Dame. But I think right now Georgia's not. They don't look like the best team in the country. Now here in a few weeks, they beat Kentucky. They string together some more solid wins, and then they go to Knoxville and
November 15th.
Yeah, and beat Tennessee. Then we're changing our tune. But right now, and I don't look back at last year. I think most people, don't. I mean, every season's different. Yeah, they won the national title, and they're still the number 1 team in the AP poll. But I mean, this season's totally different. They got a new quarterback. Their defense isn't as good. They haven't been able to run the ball. And the lines of scrimmage for Georgia, I mean, against Auburn, I know Hugh Freeze, they were in that zone scheme, and they kind of played around with them a little bit. But I don't see them as dominant. They just don't look like that dominant Georgia team you're used to the last few years.
And I don't know, Kelly, if they're not, because I don't think they are either. But are they going to get that between now and the end of the season? I don't think so.
I'm with you. They didn't have a tough schedule going into the year this year, so I just don't know. It's kind of throw up your hands with them. I'm not sure what you're going to get from them. I don't know. I'm just really impressed with Kentucky. We were talking about them being, kind of middle of the pack, and now they've kind of distanced themselves. They're pretty good. They can play defense as well. They can run the football, and you know this. When you're able to run the football, George, and you can use that play action pass, and they've got a quarterback who's an experienced guy. They can make plays and kind of manage the offense. They're pretty impressive to me. And I will say this: Missouri, their quarterback looked pretty good last week.
I like
he can throw the ball now. I mean, I said that I didn't know too much about him, but I watched a little bit of that game. Man, he can throw the football. He's accurate with the football. There's still some winning for Missouri to do too. So I don't know where those two teams sit. They're not what you consider one of the elites in the SEC, but this year they may be.
Well, Missouri's one of the teams, Kelly, that people still aren't really taking seriously. They're in the top half of the league, but they're not. They're not in most people's even top 5 in the league. But they've got a quarterback that they really like and has played well. They beat K-State, looked really good last week. I know it's Vandy, but an SEC team. Leary is the question. I like Kentucky, but I feel like Leary might be the only thing holding him back. I know he really didn't have to do much against Georgia, or not Georgia, against Florida, but he's going to have to, for Kentucky to go beat Georgia and finish even behind Georgia, right behind Georgia in the East. I think Leary's got to play. He's got to elevate, and I think he can, but we just haven't really seen that yet.
I got to stop both of you there. We'll go to the break, and then we'll have stat of the day, and then ESPN college basketball analyst Jimmy Dykes, who is the featured speaker tonight at the Stars event that we have been promoting. He will join us, and looking forward to that. Texas, an early 1-0 lead in Tampa. They are nowhere close to sold out at the Trop. However, I'm in no position to make fun of that, for I remember some Braves teams that didn't sell out their playoff games either. Stay tuned.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. It has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Here's my buddy Sam Moran to tell you about a basketball event that's coming just around the corner that you need to attend.
Thank you, George. Stars Basketball Club will be having our nightly fundraising dinner on Tuesday, October 3rd at Brentwood Baptist Church. That's at 7777 Concord Road in Brentwood, Tennessee. We look forward to hosting Coach Jimmy Dykes with ESPN and SEC Network basketball college analysts, as well as Miss Betty Wiseman from Belmont University with other college coaches in attendance. You can go and find out more at starsbasketballclub.com. And we look forward to seeing you Tuesday, October 3rd at 5:30 in Brentwood, Tennessee.
Order your tickets. I'll be there, and I hope you will be as well.
Top of the hour on a Tuesday. We're getting set for Jimmy Dykes, ESPN college basketball analyst. But first stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in beautiful Shelbyville, Tennessee. All right, let's see what we've got cooked up for today. We talked about Daniel Jones. He's now 1-12 in primetime games, which is the worst win percentage in primetime games from any quarterback with a minimum of 10 starts. What active quarterback has the second worst primetime record?
Okay, Kelly raised his hand as though he knows it.
Kirk Cousins.
You know what? You're right. That is exactly right. Let's see.
Wrong.
Oh, no.
Andy Dalton.
Wow.
Is it really?
It is.
I thought I had that one nailed.
I thought you had it nailed. Poor Andy.
Andy Dalton? What's Andy Dalton's record?
I don't know, but that was a good steal from Matthew. I thought it was Cousins as well.
Golly, Andy Dalton.
He's still in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, still he played not this past week, but the week before he played for the Carolina Panthers.
Carolina with Bryce Young hurt.
Yep, sure did.
Andy Dalton's been doing this for a while.
He has. And he's
Andy
still
Dalton
redheaded.
catching strays today.
Yeah.
Well, here's a little note for you. You tell me when are we ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Very much excited about this. Jimmy Dykes, ESPN college basketball analyst, will be the featured speaker tonight at the Stars event that we have been promoting. And as I told those folks a couple of weeks ago, I said, trust me, you have gotten an A speaker. He will knock it dead. And he joins us by phone. Jimmy, how are you?
George, I'm doing great, man. It's getting closer to college basketball season, so life is good, and I look forward to being in Nashville tonight.
Well, I know everybody's looking forward to having you here. How much pre-prep are you able to do in October, early November? And by the way, it does feel like it starts too early.
Well, this week is my first kind of trips out across the country to start watching teams practice. I was at Ole Miss and Mississippi State yesterday. Memphis' practice earlier today. I'll be at Missouri and Kansas later on this week. So that's a lot of my preparation is getting out and watching teams, not only in the SEC, but teams that I'll probably have in non-conference play or teams that are expected to be, one of those highly ranked teams like the Kansas Jayhawks are this year. So I study a ton, read about everything I can get from ESPN in terms of research, digging in, talking to coaches. But it really starts amping up for me right now when I can actually get out and get my eyes on teams practicing, and that's kind of my plan this week, and just make a little pit stop in Nashville to speak tonight for the Stars organization.
Yeah, and what these folks are going to learn is there's a little more to you than just basketball. That I do know.
I hope so. I mean, that's the ESPN platform that I have is a great blessing in my life for a number of reasons. But I've always felt like that God has given me that platform to give me a way to point people towards Him and tell others about how good He is. And He's a good God, and He loves us, and He cares for us, and the salvation message of Jesus. So I love working for ESPN, all the travel, all the people I get to see, the basketball games, the practices, the times I get to get in front of coaches and teams to speak at events like tonight. It's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure at times, especially within the season when so much is at stake in those games. And you feel for teams when it's not going their way. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very thankful that God has given me a job that allows me to get in front of people from time to time and share the good word about who He is.
Hey, Jimmy, while you're speaking tonight, our mutual friend Kevin Stallings will be watching Jacob in Philly in Game 1, Marlins-Phillies. I talked to him earlier today. He said to say hello to you. Can you imagine the butterflies going through his stomach?
I've had so many great conversations with Kevin Stallings over the years about his team and being there when they won the SEC tournament, big wins over number 1 ranked Tennessee back in the day. But the joy that he had in his voice one time when he called me talking about, I believe it was in the state championship baseball game,
Yes.
Jacob in his senior year in high school. I think he scored the winning run, slid in at home. I've heard the story multiple times. He's obviously a phenomenal dad, and Jacob's lucky to have him. But I'm really happy for Kevin. I didn't realize he was going to be there tonight. So I'll text him when I get to Nashville and just tell him that the only excuse he would possibly have to not hear me speak is watching Jacob play baseball, and I'm glad he's getting to do it tonight.
That story, Jimmy, he told me he got the ball, I believe, from the final out of that state title game that Jacob was a part of winning. And he says to me at one point, he says, "This is the highlight of my athletic life." And I was like, come on. And boy, you know how intimidating he can be. He goes, "No, seriously." And I was like, oh my goodness. And he meant it.
Well, I think any of us that have had kids participating in sports at any level, it's a great joy to watch them, especially when they have success. And I understand why he would say that, because I've had a lot of success with my work when I was coaching at the college level, when I played. But if you ask me the greatest sports memory I have right now, it'd be watching my daughter run the high school state track meet the last 3 years. So I know exactly where Kevin Stallings is coming from. So that's a good lesson for all of us, that sometimes the best things in our life should be about others. It's not about us. It's about others. And certainly being there for your kids in the highs and the lows is a big part of it.
Amen.
I got it. Yeah.
Jimmy, let me ask you this, and then I'll turn it over to Kelly Holcomb here in just a moment. When last we had a basketball season, Kentucky rolled out of the SEC tournament after Vandy had beaten them, and I had never heard the level of anger directed at John Calipari the way I heard it that night. First of all, he's in a pressure cooker, and he has been for a long time. And in recent years, it hasn't been quite as good. Do you think he's enjoying this?
Oh, yeah, I think he is. I'm pretty close with Cal. I'll see him next week, actually. If you're the Kentucky coach, you learn to enjoy the pressure and the expectations. it's just part of the job. And every program out there thinks that their team is entitled to get to the Final Four every year, and it's just not the case. It's not. Whether it's North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, keep on going down the line. It's very, very difficult to get there. And Cal knows where he's at. He had a great first 10 years for that Kentucky program, and he's trying to get back again. But with the transfer portal and the NIL and the ever-changing landscape of college ball, a lot of teams are good right now. It's not just Kentucky and the SEC anymore. I mean, the elevation of Alabama and Arkansas and Auburn have really lifted that conference, where I look at it this year that I was voting on the preseason all-SEC team this morning, and my prediction for how they would finish 1 through 14 in teams, and I put down the 10th team, and as I wrote down who I thought would finish 10th, I also thought that's also a team that I think can make the NCAA tournament. So that's how difficult it is to have success in the regular season or the conference tournament in the SEC right now. So, but they're loaded again. They're going to be a factor as every year. I know Kentucky fan base is certainly anxious about when's their next trip to the Final Four and winning a national championship, and it could be this year. They have the pieces. I'll get my eyes on them next week to see what they look like early. But that's just part of being the job. If you're the Kentucky coach, you're going to get stuff yelled at you, thrown at you, tweeted at you, Instagrammed at you, the whole bit. But the most important part is keeping your focus on your team. I think Cal does a good job of it.
Kelly, I get the honor of introducing Jimmy tonight, and so he'll learn that I actually do have a suit.
Oh, okay, good. It's not from the 70s, though, is it?
Yeah, you're going to outdress me if you got a suit on.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to try and do it right.
Okay.
Jimmy, Kelly Holcomb, man, nice to meet you. Hopefully, I get to meet you one day. But hey, I'm going to ask you this question because you just brought it up about the transfer portal. I'm a football guy, obviously, and you're seeing the change of the college landscape. You're seeing a team that Deion Sanders has taken, like Colorado, when he brought 80-something new players into his team, and he's made something out of that. What in the landscape of college basketball? What is it doing? I mean, is there going to be some sleeper teams that we never have heard of kind of rise? And I think that's what obviously makes the tournament at the end, the NCAA tournament. That's what makes it so great. But with the landscape, how is it changing college basketball?
Yeah, that's a good question because, in college basketball, you don't need 22 like you do in football. You need 5. So you can quickly flip your roster and flip your team's trajectory in one recruiting cycle. I still think older, talented teams win, and it continues to play out in the NCAA tournament, not only with the teams that got there last year, but UConn winning the national championship had a bunch of good older guys. So that's what I look for in the preseason is who are those teams that have older guys, and older guys that have been together for more than a year is a bonus. So I look at a team like Tennessee right now in the SEC. They got a bunch of older guys that have played together multiple years. That's why they'll probably be picked to win the SEC regular season. Mississippi State's right there behind them. All 5 starters back off of a NCAA tournament team. Texas A&M, same way. Those are old, good teams that are going to be ranked at the top and have a chance to make a deep run. But it's not just out of the SEC. I think that's what you're looking for in college basketball overall. But it makes my job as an analyst a little more difficult because it seems like you're starting over from scratch from one year to the next. And you start, looking at rosters and studying rosters. So there's a lot of good in that transfer portal. There's also a lot that's not good because there's a lot of kids that put their name in. They end up with no place to go. And they have to transfer down instead of transferring on an even level or even up. So, but, overall, I think the one-time transfer rule is good. It's appropriate. It's correct because we can all make a wrong decision. You don't want to be stuck somewhere that you realize this is not the best place for me. It's the double transfers that start getting a lot of noise in the room, as they should, because then you're starting to wonder, why is this kid continuing to transfer multiple times?
Yeah, absolutely. So my daughter has played basketball at Lipscomb for the last 4 years. She just got hurt. She had surgery. So kind of a tough deal in our household right now. But I saw where you coach women's basketball as well. So you've coached the men and the women. What's the difference? What do you enjoy coaching the women more than the men? I know you report on the men right now, but just give us a little bit of insight of that. I know because I've talked to a lot of coaches that said, "Hey, man, when you coach girls, you coach women, you don't want to go back to the men because the women listen more." So, I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I stepped away from ESPN for 3 years and coached the women at my alma mater. And your friend's right. They are very attentive and they are quick to absorb and quick to learn. You got to be pretty good at what you're saying because they're going to do what you ask them to do. So I enjoyed my time there. The women's game has really grown, man. The last 2 or 3 years with the star power of Caitlin Clark at Iowa and the Angel Girl at LSU and what Kim Mulkey's doing, and the ratings of the women's game just continues to grow and grow and grow. So I'm a fan of it. I actually worked the women's NCAA tournament last year for ESPN, the first and second rounds up in Maryland. So I'm a fan of college basketball, especially good college basketball. And fortunately with ESPN, I get to see a lot of it.
I got you. So my last deal is, and I don't want to, if people are watching, they're going to go hear you speak tonight. But, my college coach is the best speaker I've ever heard. But what you going to talk about tonight, Coach?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the college basketball landscape. And then I know the Stars organization they stand for a lot of the same things I do with my faith. So I'm going to touch on that as well and give a challenge to the audience for about, I think I'm supposed to speak about 20 minutes. So I look forward to it. As soon as it's over, I got to get right back out of there. I got a 5:30 flight in the morning to catch, continue on my journey. But I hope we have a big turnout tonight. I know it's an important part of that organization. I'm very thankful to be asked to speak. I look forward to seeing you guys there tonight.
Jimmy, I'll say it this way. When you're speaking, we'll all feel like we're flying in first class. You know where I'm going with that.
I like how you think, George.
Absolutely. I love it. My dad, if he were alive, would have loved you. He worked for American Airlines for 40 years, and he loved talking about standby and coach and all that stuff. He'd have gotten a real kick out of you.
Oh, that's good. That's great to hear. How old was your dad when he passed?
91.
Good for him, man. Hey, what a glorious life he lived.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. He thought he owned American Airlines.
I'm sure he did.
Hey, thanks. Look forward to seeing you tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's a good man right there. They've gotten themselves a heck of a speaker in Jimmy Dykes. Another person who will speak this evening is Betty Wiseman. I would consider Betty to be what I would call the first lady of Belmont athletics, because you talk about good people and did some incredible things in her years as Belmont's women's coach. We will talk to Betty when we come back, so stick around. This is the George Plaster Show.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
We're back. And, you know, when people have asked me, what was it like getting out of broadcasting for almost 3 years and going to Belmont? The answer is it was an incredible experience. I don't know that I've ever been around across the board as good a people as I dealt with at Belmont. Right at the top of the list is this lady, Betty Wiseman. Not only wonderful human being, trailblazer for a younger audience that may not know, she started the Belmont women's basketball program years ago, and she will speak tonight at the Stars event. Betty, how are you?
I'm good, George. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, listen, it's the other way around. So I want you to give a little bit of the secret away. What will you talk about tonight?
Well, you know, I really have a heart for sports ministry. And first of all, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people that I know, a lot of students and athletes from Belmont who are in this particular ministry. And basically, I'm just going to talk about the ministry itself and just sowing seeds for Christ and how you work with young people. And that's what I've tried to do at Belmont for so many years and continue to do over there. So sports is just a great, I've been all over the world with some of our athletes at Belmont through the years, just connecting with people and trying to connect them to churches and giving them inroads to who Jesus really is. And it's just a great way to love on people. So I don't know where God's going to take it. I have about 15 minutes tonight, and hey, who knows where he's going to take me?
Betty, as somebody who has watched women's sports grow, maybe beyond anybody's wildest dreams. Tell me what you thought when you saw the story recently in the last month where the Nebraska soccer team drew 92,000
volleyball.
Volleyball, not
Volleyball.
soccer. What am I saying?
Volleyball.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think when you saw that?
It just blew me away. I mean, it continues. This has been we've just had a year-long celebration, 50 years of Title IX. And of course, we started our program 4 years prior to that. But within this last year, George, it's just nightly. Every day it comes on something bigger and better about women's sports. And when I saw that on TV the other night, I just sat and smiled and say, "Wow, we have arrived." I think it's awesome to begin with, and it just is kind of icing on the cake, and who knows where it's going to go from here.
Betty, when I saw it the next morning after I'd seen the film footage, I contacted the Nebraska marketing and promotions people and got one of them on to talk about it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But you're right, it just continues a year-long growth. The NCAA women's basketball tournament this past year put numbers together that shocked people. I mean, it's another one of those examples you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was during the women's tournament. And of course, I've been watching the WNBA and their championship, but it's during the women's tournament. I was just sitting here thinking, man, I can turn on every day. And even if there's not a game on, there's something running about women's basketball and women's sports all the time. And I tell you, it does my heart good to have just seen it from the very beginning and know how it was before, and to enjoy it, to still be alive and enjoying it today. And my goodness, who knows what the future holds? But it just makes me really proud that I just had maybe just a little part of the program here in this area.
It was more.
There's a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit, George, and I'm just kind of on their coattails.
Betty, when you played Trailblazer to start that program at Belmont, was there ever a point where you said to yourself, "I'm not sure this is going to fly"?
Yeah, the first game I played. Yeah, I can tell you from the very beginning. I just, we were playing AAU teams, those big women's teams, and like Nashville Business College, and they were international champions. And my first game, we couldn't find anybody hardly to play, so I was playing some of these teams that I had no business playing, but it was a game, and that's what it was all about. But I remember driving 2 old station wagons with these girls all the way to Iowa, and I had hardly been out of Tennessee myself, and it was cold, and we got beat 54 points. And I said, when I came in the locker room, I said, "What have I gotten myself into?" Hey, yeah, really. But you know what? They returned the game to Belmont later in the year, and we upset them. How about that?
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Hey, you just have to get your feet wet and just go through those early days, and then colleges began jumping on the bandwagon, and of course that was about 4 years before Title IX, and of course Title IX did so much. So all that to say, George, whatever I did back then was a gift, and I'm so grateful to know where we've come from. I think about sometimes, would I like to be coaching now or go back then? And I'm glad I was in it when I was in it. When there wasn't any money, we played because we just wanted the opportunity. We loved to play.
What do you think is, Betty? What do you think is the next breakthrough? I mean, we've had this huge TV ratings breakthrough in late March, early April, where a lot of us were like, "Whoa, this really is something." And this volleyball thing. I mean, 92,000 at a volleyball game. What do you think's the next breakthrough?
Honey, I'm 80 years old. I'm not smart enough to think about what the next big thing is going to be. But what I'm most pleased about is the parity, more parity in the last several years, and of course this portal and all that it may change that. Who knows what the landscape of athletics is going to be in the next 10 years? It's anybody's guess. With all the conferences changing, there's so much change going on right now. And, for somebody that's lived a long time, I've seen a lot of change, and I don't get in the habit of thinking ahead. What's next? Because I'm not smart enough to do that, but change is inevitable, and who knows what the next 10 years is going to be.
Got one more for you.
Yeah.
A younger audience may not know high school basketball on the women's front in Tennessee was, to me, way ahead of a lot of the states around the country. Why was that?
Well, I think probably Tennessee was one of the first. Of course, we played divided court for a long time, and people in Iowa and some of those states had basketball. Kentucky was late coming into the picture, but what we were late doing was going to the 5-on-5 and giving girls an opportunity to really play basketball and play full court. Pat Head Summit had so much to do with that particular change, and I think when that happened, 5-on-5 is when women's basketball, girls basketball at the high school level really took off. When I played, I hardly knew there was anything else other than just the games that we had. We didn't have a lot of publicity, and then I had an opportunity to play for Nashville Business College, right out of high school. And of course, I turned that down to go ahead and get my education, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made. But I knew John Head, and John Head was, when I decided to do that, John Head at Nashville Business College, he was really good to me, and even played me that first year. Of course, he beat us to death, but I'm going to tell you, if you're ever going to win, you're going to have to be beaten. You're going to have to be whipped down a little bit. And it's kept me humble and honest through the years. But anyway, it's been a great journey. I have 5 girls from the early 70s who want to have dinner one night coming up next week, and I think it's just exciting to think back where we've come from, to be a part of that, and hey, I don't look too much in the future. I just relish the fact that I got to be a part of the past and building something that's pretty special right now.
I can't wait to hear you speak tonight, Betty. It has been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, and I mean that.
Thank you, George. I feel the same way about you, and I look forward to seeing you tonight at the gathering.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Betty, thank you.
Love you, man.
Same here. This is one great lady, Betty Wiseman, Belmont University. She will be one of the speakers tonight at the Stars event. And I wanted to have her on because I think that this Stars group has gotten two absolute home runs. Their leader, Lance Akridge, joins us after the break. Stay tuned.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Here's my buddy Sam Moran to tell you about a basketball event that's coming just around the corner that you need to attend.
Thank you, George. Stars Basketball Club will be having our nightly fundraising dinner on Tuesday, October 3rd at Brentwood Baptist Church. That's at 7777 Concord Road in Brentwood, Tennessee. We look forward to hosting Coach Jimmy Dykes with ESPN and SEC Network basketball college analysts, as well as Miss Betty Wiseman from Belmont University with other college coaches in attendance. You can go and find out more at starsbasketballclub.com. And we look forward to seeing you Tuesday, October 3rd at 5:30 in Brentwood, Tennessee.
Order your tickets. I'll be there, and I hope you will be as well. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. Major League Baseball playoffs have started. Texas leads at Tampa Bay 2-0, top of the sixth. They have just knocked out starter Tyler Glasnow. Jordan Montgomery, who the Rangers got in a trade at the deadline from the Cardinals, throwing a gem early. This would be a huge win for Texas and a real downer. In a 2 out of 3, if you lose game one, there is some serious pressure. Okay, you have heard us plugging this event tonight involving Stars basketball, and they've hit 2 huge home runs. in Betty Wiseman and Jimmy Dykes. And the man behind a lot of this, Lance, I didn't say that right, Lance Akridge. Why was that so hard? He joins us, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. Lance, how you doing?
Hey, George, I'm doing great. How are you?
It's pretty neat when something you've put a lot of work into, where you can see the finish line and say, hey, this is really going to be something special. And I know you got to feel that way.
No, we do, George. We're excited about tonight's event. And obviously, you've had both our keynote speakers on your show today. Last year we featured Casey Alexander and Lenny Acuff and Trevecca Nazarene, Omar Mance coaches. And we thought, how do we top that? And then this year, as we're praying about who to maybe that God would bring us to speak. And I'm sincere, it just kind of happened and I can't explain it, but to have Betty Wiseman and Jimmy Dykes with us tonight, it's going to be a special night. And I think we have close to 300 people already attending. I think some more people have been buying some tickets this afternoon. So we're just excited to hear what they have to say and excited to tell our story as well. So
that is wonderful. That is terrific to hear. By the way, I'm going to let the secret out. When I got there last year, our show was from 4 to 6. So I got there very late and I was sitting one table away from Lenny Acuff, and he had already spoken. But the Major League Baseball regular season was ending, I believe, that night, and the Braves were in a real fight to get there. And Lenny and I kept giving each other hand signals, 2 out, nobody.
Yeah. No, he's a great
I can't
man.
wait to remind him of that tonight.
Yeah, well, he'll be excited about the Braves again, I'm sure. I'm a huge Cincinnati Reds fan, George, so it hurt me down the stretch there, but we had a chance. But
Lance, remember you heard this from a Braves fan. Your time is coming. They are really close to being really good, and if that front office will help them just a little and go out and get them some starting pitching, nobody's going to want to play them.
Yeah, we're just a sidetrack. We're going to be dangerous, I think, too, in the next couple of years. I'm a big fan, watch about every game, and you're right. We're loaded with rookies, and it was a miracle we were even in a position we were in to be where we were with injuries. But anyway, love baseball just almost as much as basketball, George.
Good for you. So who came up with the Jimmy Dykes idea? Because that's a total home run.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Jimmy Dykes fan, and it was ironic. He was speaking at Belmont, maybe late summer, midsummer, and I saw on Twitter where he had spoken at the Christian Athletic Directors Conference, and he just commented, "Hey, glad to speak, had a great time," and I said, "Man, how good would he be at our event?" I know he's faith aligned and culture aligned, and obviously knows the game of basketball, as we know. So reached out to him, and we started talking through Twitter and phone calls. And before you know it, he said, "I'd love to come to your event." So that's really how it happened. And it was, I think, a God thing that I saw a tweet about him being in town, and that's kind of how it happened.
Well, you're in for a treat because I'm here to tell you he's a great after dinner speaker. He's a terrific broadcaster as well. And I've gotten to know him a little bit and just think the world of him. So let me ask you this to close it out. If a person has heard some of this today and says, I didn't get in, is it too late to simply show up?
No, it's not, George. I mean, we're going to be at Brentwood Baptist Church right off Concord Road and I-65. Doors open at 5:30. Buffet lines will start around 6 p.m., 5:55, and we'll start speaking around 6:30. So people have time to get there after work. And if they would like to come, they can go to our website, starsbasketballclub.com, and they'll see on our homepage a place they can click to take them to the event page, or they can just show up, George. We just want people to hear their messages, our message. So if somebody wants to come and just drops in, we'll figure out, and give them a free meal if we have to. So I'm sincere about that. So we'd love to have people there. It's important to us, the messaging that they have to say and we have to say. And so we hope there are some drop-ins tonight as well.
Beautiful. Lance, congratulations. Can't wait to be there later.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. And just one more reminder, George, our silent auction closes tomorrow at noon. We have 70 plus items in that silent auction. So you can find information about that also at starsbasketballclub.com.
Good plug. See you tonight.
George, see you tonight. Thank you.
Lance Akridge. He's helped put together a big-time event tonight that is going to go over beautifully. We're thrilled about it. Billy, I know you'll be there as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I went last year and was blown away by how good it was. And Kelly, we go from that high to a downer.
Plaster's bet of the day. We start by taking a look at what happened last night. And here we go. Giants lost.
Gosh.
It's getting closer and closer.
Cesspool, yeah. Giants are a cesspool.
They are a cesspool.
Did you see the infighting between Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll last night?
Yeah.
Daboll's kind of,
he's fiery.
He is fiery, man. He goes from being coach of the year, and then I don't know what's happened. They just, I'm sure you're getting the Saquon Barkleys of the world. I know he's never going to come out publicly and say this, but like he needs to be on the field for them to have a chance, George. And
yes.
They didn't pay him. They won't pay him, but they paid Daniel Jones, and you can't protect Daniel Jones right now. So I don't know. They're just really bad. Not a very good football team. Yeah, collusion.
If ever a team needed to value a running back,
it's them.
My God, if they haven't figured that out by now, then they are stupid.
They messed that
Dumb.
up big time.
Bad.
Okay, so I'm going Phillies tonight, even though I don't want to. I don't want to have to play the Phillies, because we know from a year ago the kind of damage they can do. They're at home tonight. Zach Wheeler, who is an Atlanta kid, grew up there, will pitch for Philadelphia. Luzardo, who is tough, will pitch for the Marlins. That is the Marlins' strength, is their starting pitching is really good. And they're going to go as far as their starting pitching will take them. Now, one last thing before we get out of here. A week from tomorrow, Wilson Bank and Trust Sports Speaker Series edition number 4 is former Titans head football coach Jeff Fisher. That will be fun. There are a lot of areas we're going to get into with him, including why he thinks my collusion theory is all wet. He's made that very clear to me. Look, we've got room for you. I simply need you to email me. Let me know you want to come. Let me know how many are in your party. plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Kelly, we are glad for the better news about your daughter. I know this has been really hard, but hopefully there's a silver lining coming in all this.
I hope so, George. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for checking in on her, and thanks for everybody that's saying prayers out there for her. She's doing okay. She mentally she's got to get back, but it'll all be good.
Talk to you. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, brother. See you.
Billy?
Yep.
Dress well tonight.
I'll try.
And don't ever forget back there.
World champs.
Yes. See you.